Assemble the panel. In Cleveland, Paul Begala, the Democratic strategist, CNN political contributor, and author of Third Way, Why George W. Bush Loves John McCain. In Washington, Todd Harris, former McCain press secretary, a former communications director for Fred Thompson, a supporter of John McCain. Here in L.A., Stephanie Miller, host of The Stephanie Miller Show. And in New York, Andrea Tantaros, Republican strategist and a supporter of John McCain. Folks, Sarah Palin is talking a little more. Tonight, she took some questions at a town hall meeting in Grand Rapids, asked to address her foreign policy credentials. Let's listen.
Governor Palin, there has been quite a bit of discussion about your perceived lack of foreign policy experience, and I want to give you your chance. If you could please respond to that criticism and give us specific skills that you think you have to bring to the White House to rebut that or mitigate that concern.
Well, I think because I'm a Washington outsider that the opponents are going to be looking for a whole lot of things that they can criticize, and they can kind of try to beat the candidate here who chose me as his partner to kind of tear down the ticket. But as for foreign policy, you know, I think that I am prepared, and I know that on January 20th, if we are so blessed as to be sworn into office as your president and vice president, certainly we'll be ready. I'll be ready. I have that confidence. I have that readiness. And if you want specifics with specific policy or countries, go ahead and you can ask me. You can even play Stump the Candidate if you want to. But we are ready to serve.
Todd Harris, forgive me, was that question answered?
Wow. You know, look, Larry, I'll happily take her 2 years of executive experience as governor of Alaska to the year and a half that Obama was in the Senate before he ran off.
The question was, Todd, why didn't she answer the question?
Well, you know, look, if you're going to compare foreign policy experience, Larry, she's got...
That wasn't the question. The question was, what is your foreign policy experience? Well, she didn't ask about Barack, she asked about her.
Well, and I would say compared to Barack Obama, she's got just as much experience as he does. And in terms of our entire ticket, when you've got John McCain and Sarah Palin, in terms of their foreign policy experience, in terms of their ability to keep this country safe, I feel very comfortable with where they are. But I'll tell you, if the Democrats want to make this an election about experience, I think they're making a huge mistake.
Okay. The question was asked, though, by a person at a town hall meeting. Paul, what did you make of the answer?
You know, it was a non-answer. But that's a step up from her previous answer, which was preposterous. Her previous answer was, you know, from parts of my state, you can see Russia. Well, you know, from my backyard, I can see the moon, but I'm not an astrophysicist. You know, it's silly. I mean, and Todd makes a good point. This is not necessarily about her qualifications. It's about John McCain. What kind of man at age 72, after 4 bouts of cancer, knowing he's got a 50-50 chance of being president, chooses somebody to be potentially the vice president of the United States, potentially even the president, based on one meeting 2 years ago and one phone call. He had no idea whether she was qualified when he chose her, and I think now we're learning perhaps she's not.
Andrea, John McCain picked up the baton for her, and this was part of his answer at the same place. Watch.
And I'm proud of her obvious knowledge of this nation's energy needs, because that's a national security issue. I also know, if I might remind you, that she's commander of the Alaska National Guard.
Does that work, Andrea?
Larry, look, yeah, we know that Sarah Palin doesn't have as much experience as someone like John McCain on foreign affairs. We all know that. But, you know, you want to talk about policy. I think silly policy, as Paul pointed out, is meeting with terrorist leaders without any kind of precondition. So I would rather have a candidate at the top of the ticket who's stronger on foreign policy and has the right positions than somebody who has the absolute wrong positions. I mean, Democrats had the chance to nominate someone who was experienced. That was Hillary Clinton, and they didn't do so. They nominated someone who on day one has zero foreign policy experience. So, like Todd said, if you want to get into this debate about foreign policy experience and experience in particular, you're on shaky ground.
Of the 4, Stephanie, doesn't Joe Biden have the most?
Yes, I'm so scared of that clip. I would like you to hold me, Larry. I hope you don't mind. I am terrified. Like Paul Begala said, by the way, I saw the ocean on the way here in LA, so I would like to be Secretary of the Navy. That is terrifying. She did not answer the question, and that is completely untrue. Barack Obama has been in the Senate. He has worked on loose nukes legislation with Senator Lugar. It is preposterous to say that he has no foreign policy experience. What you just saw is what is terrifying to people about Sarah Palin. She is completely unqualified.
Todd, is this going to get rougher?
Oh, I think so. I mean, we still have 50-some days left, and you're already seeing, there was a shameful new Obama ad that just went on the air today. It's in Spanish, so it's not getting a lot of coverage in the mainstream media, but it accuses, John McCain of walking lockstep with people like Rush Limbaugh on the issue of immigration, and it's just an outright lie. And they feel like they can get away with it because it's in Spanish, aren't paying attention. They're not going to get away with it. But yeah, Larry, on both sides, this is going to get really ugly.